So if you're kind of new today, or you're still waking up and rubbing the sleep out of your eyes, like, what are we doing again? I want to show you how to get to the Anthem assignment. So in content, we've got Unit 1, Unit 2, and then Anthem. And so I've broken Anthem down into the text. These are all different ways to expose yourself to the text. So I have the actual physical book in this link. And we're going to pick up like at the super end so that hopefully we can answer some more questions. I have the audio book if that's something that interests you. I listened to this book for the first time when I audio. And it wasn't until other readings of it that I actually read it. The thing that you got to know about this book is that you will not understand it if you have other things going on. So this is a book that you really just want to be folding laundry while you listen to, or you want to find a quiet place. You cannot be watching TV and follow this book at the same time. There's some books you can do that with, but this is not one of them because the setting is so different. So I also put in here Anthem, this graphic novel movie. And you don't have to watch it, but I think it's really helpful. And so it'll start and it'll show you where he's writing. So we learn in the very beginning of the chapter that he is writing in this hidden place that he has found, and he starts confessing his crimes.
It is a sin to write this. It is a sin to think words no others think, and to put them down upon a
So
paper
we can get an idea of what that looks like. Remember, there's only candles at this point as far as technology is concerned. Okay, so that's where some of this stuff is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Anthem text. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where we left off. And I'm also going to open up the Chapter 1 assignment. So right now, that's all that's on your plate, okay? So we were at the bottom. One thing that I did want to point out is I posted this in the announcements. We read a third of the book already, okay? So that first chapter is super long, and it actually takes up about a third of the book. So you've already read 1/3. Congratulations. So I broke down the page numbers here just to show you what we've done. So the first 2 chapters are the longest, and then they get really short and quick. Okay. So when you see in the future assignments that are you need to read chapters 4 to 6, don't freak out. Look at that. That's 10 pages. Okay. Or that's 5 minutes listening. So the whole book, if you were to listen to the whole book, it would take you an hour and a half. Okay. So just don't watch a movie and then listen to your book. And then watch the movie. Okay. So where we left him is here. He was talking about that he and International 48818, they're friends because he has this smiling personality, but he got put into the street sweepers as a punishment because people aren't supposed to smile apparently, right? Okay. So they find a hole and they decide that they're going to go investigate and see what's in this hole. So they go down and they knew that no man that was known to them could have built this place. And he describes it. So we knew that it was a great tunnel, that the walls were hard and smooth to the touch. It felt like stone, but it was not stone. And on the ground, there were long, thin tracks of iron, but it was not iron. It felt smooth and cold as glass. Did I ask you this? What did they find? What did they find? So we have these clues about where he's in. He's in a tunnel that's made of cement, and there's 2 iron tracks on the ground. So he's in an old subway tunnel. So that might clue you into where he is, like what cities have subway tunnels. Okay. So they knew that it was left from the unmentionable times. And when they returned to the top, he and his friend start having a conversation about, are we going to tell people about this or not? And this is right where we left off, okay? He says, we shall report our fine to the city council, and both of us shall be rewarded. And then we spoke. Our voice was hard, and there was no mercy in our voice. We said, we shall not report our fine to the city council. We shall not report it to any men. They raised their hands to their ears, for they had never heard such words as these. International 48818, we asked, will you report us to the council and see us lashed to death before your eyes? They stood straight all of a sudden and answered, rather would we die. Then we said, keep silent. This place is ours. This place belongs to us, Equality 72521, and no other man on earth. And if we surrender it, we shall surrender it with our life also. Then we saw that the eyes of International 48818 were so full to the lid of tears, they dared not drop. They whispered and their voice trembled so that their words lost all shape. The will of the council is above all things, for it is the will of our brothers, which is holy. But if you wish it so, we shall obey you. Rather shall we be evil with you than good with our brothers. May the council have mercy upon both our hearts. Then we walked away together and back to the home of the street sweepers, and we walked in silence. Thus did it come to pass that each night when the stars were high and the street sweepers sat in the city theater, we, Equality 72521, steal out and run through the darkness to our place. It is easy to leave the theater when the candles are blown out and the actors come onto the stage. No eyes can see us as we crawl under our seat, under the cloth of the tent. Later, it is easy to steal through the shadows and fall in line next to International 48818 as the column leaves the theater. It is dark in the street. It is dark in the streets, and there are no men about, for no men may walk through the city when they have no permission to walk there. Each night we run to the ravine, and we remove the stones which we have piled upon the iron grill to hide it from the men. Each night for 3 hours we are under the earth alone. So we have stolen candles from the home of the street sweepers. We have stolen flints and knives and paper, and we have brought them to this place. We have stolen glass vials and powders and acids from the home of the scholars. Now we sit in the tunnel for 3 hours each night, and we study. We melt strange metals, and we mix acids, and we cut open the bodies of the animals which we find in the city cesspool. We have built an oven of the bricks we gathered in the streets, and burn the wood we find in the ravine. The fire flickers in the oven, and the blue shadows dance upon the walls, and there is no sound of men to disturb us. We have stolen manuscripts. This is a great offense. Manuscripts are precious, for our brothers in the home of the clerks spend 1 year to copy one single script in their clear handwriting. Manuscripts are rare, and they are kept in the home of the scholars. So we sit under the earth and we read the stolen scripts. 2 years have passed since we found this place, and in these 2 years we have learned more than we have learned in the 10 years of the home of the students. Okay, so here we see another example of how this society is keeping people down. They're doing this by keeping access to educational materials out of the hands of the common men. So manuscripts are not, they're precious, and only the scholars can have them. This reminds me actually of the Middle Ages when only the priests were allowed to have copies of the Bible. And they're like, why do the lay people need to read the Bible? We can tell them. And so we have this sort of thing happening where people who have knowledge are hoarding the knowledge and are not allowing people to have full access to it, even though like they have 10 years of schooling. And he's saying he's learning more doing this. Okay. We have learned things which are not in the scripts. We have solved secrets which the scholars have no knowledge. We have come to see how great is the unexplored, and many lifetimes will not bring us to the end of our quest. But we wish no end to our quest. We wish nothing save to be alone and to learn and to feel as if with each day our sight we're growing sharper than the hawks and clearer than rock crystal. Strange are the ways of evil. We are false in the faces of our brothers. We are defying the will of the councils. We alone, of the thousands who walk this earth, we alone in this hour are doing a work which has no purpose, save the wish to do it. The evil of our crime is not for the human mind to probe. The nature of our punishment, if it be discovered, is not for the human heart to ponder. Never, not in the memory of the ancient ones. Ancients never have more men done which we are doing. And yet there is no shame in us and no regret. We say to ourselves that we are a wretch and a traitor, but we feel no burden upon our spirit and no fear in our hearts. And it seems to us that our spirit is clear, as a lake troubled by no eyes save those of the sun. And in our heart, strange are the ways of evil. In our heart there is the first peace we have known in 20 years. Boom. So he has this line in here, he says, that I love, which is that he is doing the work just for the sake of wanting to do it. So he has no purpose other than he wants to do something. So he is having to live a life of like work, and now you go to the theater and then you watch shows that tell you how good it is to work. He's never actually been able to have the autonomy, have the ability to do something just for his own pleasure. Like, he can't just read a book. They're all in the home of the scholars. He can't, like, take up a hobby because that would be evil and selfish in this society. So, like, your video games would probably not be allowed. And I'm thinking about, like, my crocheting would probably not be allowed unless I was in the home of the knitters or the crocheters. So this is an interesting concept, that the idea of doing something just because you want to do it is forbidden. All right.